most likable girl?
Mabel was the most likable girl in school. Teachers loved her because she was a good student who always had something to say. Boys loved her because she was so beautiful. Girls loved her because she was nice and always helped them. Her siblings loved her because she was caring. Mabel just had a good impression on everyone. One day, a robber came to her house, stole all her money, and punched her when she tried to stop him. Mabel was devastated after that incident. She felt upset that someone would hurt her when she was a good person. When she returned to school, it was hard for her to talk to people. She started spacing out in class, sitting alone during lunch, and wearing the same clothes every day. Mabel's friends were worried about her. They decided to go to her house to talk to her parents. Her friends explained how Mabel was acting differently in school. Mabel's parents had no idea. They talked to Mabel and told her that the robbery had nothing to do with her. Robbers just rob houses that they feel are the easiest to break into. Mabel's parents gave her a hug.
A homeless man's past.
Ricky is homeless. He sleeps under a shady big tree at the park every night. In the morning, he walks around the park and sometimes goes on the playground. He likes going on the swings, closing his eyes, and thinking about the past. His past was great. He grew up in a wealthy family. Both of his parents were doctors. Ricky went to a good school, had lots of friends, and was on his way to being a doctor. Everything was perfect. Then his parents got sued by a patient. His parents lost the case and owed the patient millions of dollars. Ricky and his family had to sell their house and move to a much smaller house. Ricky also had to move schools. Ricky's parents had a very hard time adjusting. His dad had a heart attack after 1 year of living in the small house. His mom had a hard time without his dad and died from stress. Ricky had to support himself. He quit school and worked at a grocery store. He eventually quit because he thought he was too good for his job. Ricky decided he would rather be homeless than work at a job he hated. Ricky had gotten used to being homeless. He had been homeless for 5 years, and he is now 23 years old. He talks to people at the park and has good conversations. He gets food from the trash can. He doesn't mind. Ricky is homeless but happy.
Being home alone.
For the first time ever, Gabby was going to be home alone. Her parents and little brother were going on a 1-week trip to Hawaii. Gabby didn't want to miss out on school, so she had said she would stay at home. It was going to be great. She could stay up late as she wanted, invite people over, and sing as loud as she wanted to. She invited her friends, William and Agatha, to her house after school. "Wow, it is so cool to have the whole house to yourself. Your parents must really trust you," Angela said. Gabby's parents trusted Gabby because she always told the truth and did the right thing. "You should throw a party," William suggested. Gabby and Agatha gasped. "Did you hear what I just said?" Agatha said. I heard you. I just think Gabby should do the wrong thing for once and not be boring, William said. Gabby did think about it. People at school did think she was a goody two-shoes, and her parents probably wouldn't find out. Okay, I'll do it, Gabby exclaimed. Gabby invited the whole 11th grade class to her house on Friday. A lot of people came and the house was packed. It seemed like everyone was having a good time. People really liked the food and the music at the party. Eventually, however, the party got too crazy. People started yelling at each other. Things broke, and neighbors complained. All of a sudden, the door opened. It was Gabby's parents. Mom, Dad, aren't you supposed to be here tomorrow? Gabby asked. We were, but we came here to surprise you with a gift, her dad said. Gabby felt guilty.
Food from outside.
Vicky works at 11 Men, a cafe that serves coffee and pastries. She does not really like her job, but it gets the bills paid. One of the rules at the cafe is not to bring food from other restaurants into the cafe. Vicky greeted one of the customers. She noticed that the customer had something from Panda Express. However, Vicky didn't say anything because she didn't think it was a big deal. Vicky's boss, Angelica, called her over. Vicky, you need to tell her about our rule about food from other places, she said. Vicky nodded and went over to the customer. Hi, I'm sorry, but you cannot have food from other restaurants here, Vicky said. But it's not like I'm not ordering from you guys. I just want something to drink with my meal, the customer said. You can come in after you finish your food. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, Vicky said. The customer was furious. He got up and knocked the table and chairs down. This is a terrible cafe, he said. All the other customers and employees stared at him. The angry customer left and wrote an angry review on the cafe. The owners of 11 Men decided to change the rule so that people could bring in food from other places if they still buy something from them.
Making the boss angry.
Zoe hated her boss, Justin, who thought he was better than everyone just because he went to Harvard. He proudly hung up his diploma in his office. Zoe knew that she was smart and capable, but she could never rise up with Justin as her boss. She knew she had to work somewhere else. Zoe submitted her letter of resignation. She went into Justin's office to talk. There were pictures of himself all over the walls. There was a picture of him modeling a suit, a picture of him meeting the mayor, and more. Zoe laughed. Something funny? Justin asked. Zoe shook her head. Anyways, I was wondering why you decided to quit. You have worked here for 6 years and have been doing well, Justin said. I just feel that it's time to move on to bigger things, Zoe said. Oh, so this company is not good enough for you? Justin asked. To be honest, I just don't like the way you run this company, Zoe said. Justin turned red with anger. He hit his desk and started tearing down all the pictures on the walls. He left Zoe in his office and slammed the door on his way out. Zoe just laughed.
Class enrollment times.
In college, everyone has different class enrollment times. Some people have early times, and some people have late times. The more classes you have taken, the earlier your registration time is. That is why seniors have early registration times. All student athletes, students on scholarships, and low-income students have early registration times. A lot of students complain about their registration times. Having a late registration time means not getting the classes you want. Not getting the classes you want means not being able to graduate on time. This is a big problem in public schools. Every semester, there are a ton of students who line up to complain about their registration times. Academic counselors tell the students the same thing every time. We can't do anything about it. Parents complain about it too. The academic counselors tell them the same thing. One of the parents who complained was a lawyer. She tried to sue the school. It did not work. Students also protested that athletes should not have earlier registration times. The academic counselors say, "We don't make up the rules."
Trouble with the captain.
Howard was the fat kid, but against all odds, he surprisingly made the soccer team. His family celebrated. They were happy that he was being active, and they wanted him to make new friends. Howard was happy too. On his first day of practice, the coach made a short speech. "Congratulations on making it to the team. You have a tradition to keep. Our team is the best high school soccer team in northern Mississippi. Practice is going to be rough, but it's going to be worth it. Practice is 2 hours a day, every day, including Saturday and Sunday." Howard started to sweat. Was he ready for intense exercise every day? The team captain was the next to make a speech. "Coach is right. You guys all have to keep up. Keep up or go home." First, the team did warm-ups, which included stretching, running, bouncing the ball with their knees, and more. Howard was having trouble, especially with running. After the warm-ups, the boys played a game. Howard was already very tired. The captain pulled him aside and said, "I don't know how you made the team. You got lucky." Howard ignored what he said and continued to do the best he could.
A terrible teacher.
Ms. Robbins was known around the school as the meanest teacher ever. She gave hard tests, made fun of students, and wouldn't let the students have any fun whatsoever. Why was Ms. Robbins so terrible? Well, she never wanted to be a teacher. She grew up wanting to be an actress. She was pretty good at it. She even had her own TV show once. The TV show did not do so well, and it ended after a year. Ms. Robbins struggled to find a job after that. Ms. Robbins only got her job as a teacher because she knew the principal of the school. They were best friends from high school. Miss Robbins taught history. Her students were all afraid of her. One of her students, Cassidy, raised her hand to ask a question. "Ms. Robbins, how long should our essay be?" Ms. Robbins stared at her coldly and said, "I hate repeating myself. Ask your classmate." Ms. Robbins was called into the principal's office. "What's up?" she asked. "There have been some concerns over your behavior," the principal said. "I know where this is going," Ms. Robbins said. "Do you? Well, it has to change. I know you don't want to be here, but you can't get paid if all your students want you gone," the principal said. Ms. Robbins was more careful since her meeting with the principal.
Every day is your last.
Kathy did the same thing every day, and she didn't mind too much. She wakes up at 6 a.m. every morning, eats cereal, goes to school, and then goes home. She has a few friends, but she doesn't hang out with them outside of school. Kathy usually just reads books and watches TV shows when she has free time. Kathy was walking to school as she usually does. All of a sudden, a car hit her. Kathy was knocked out with blood everywhere. She went to the hospital, and her family and friends visited her. The doctor told them that Kathy was miraculously alive, even though she was hurt pretty badly. She was perfectly fine. Kathy's parents and friends kissed Kathy. Kathy felt very lucky. She decided that she would live like every day was her last. Every day she tried to do something meaningful, and every day she wrote in a diary. The day after getting discharged from the hospital, Kathy tried a new ice cream flavor. She usually gets vanilla, but she tried chocolate fudge and loved it. She also went skydiving. At school, Kathy started joining more clubs. In a weird way, she was glad she got hit by a car.
First day as a tutor.
Bethany decided that she would spend all the summer earning money as a tutor. She put up flyers around elementary schools in her neighborhood. She was offering lessons in Spanish, French, and Italian. Bethany grew up traveling the world, so she knew how to speak a lot of languages. She would charge her customers $25 per hour. Someone called Bethany. It was a girl asking for lessons in Italian. Bethany drove down to the girl's house on Saturday. The student lived in a huge mansion. Bethany went inside the house and introduced herself. "I'm Megan," the girl said. Bethany first started teaching her the basics, like how to introduce yourself and say thank you. Megan had a hard time pronouncing the words. Bethany repeated them until she could say them correctly. Megan started to get upset and blamed Bethany for teaching her incorrectly. Bethany was insulted. She had been speaking and writing in Italian since she was 4 years old. "Megan, why don't you take a short break and come back to this?" Bethany suggested. Hopefully that would calm her down. "Why don't you take a long break and get out of here?" Megan said. Bethany left her house. She didn't need to take insults from a teenager.
Textbooks.
Textbooks are really expensive. It is funny because nobody wants them. Students just have to buy them because teachers want them to. Mr. Tan teaches an economics class, and he usually makes them buy a $200 textbook. Last year, though, one of his students tried to steal a textbook. That student got suspended. The sad thing is, The student stole the textbook because he could not afford it. Mr. Tan decided to change some things around. Instead of making his students buy the textbook, Mr. Tan made copies of the textbook and gave them to the students. This is technically illegal. Another teacher found out about what Mr. Tan was doing and told the principal. The principal gave Mr. Tan a warning. Mr. Tan had to come up with another idea that was legal. Mr. Tan decided to use online articles that were available for everyone to access. The students liked this idea because they did not have to buy a textbook. The principal liked this idea because it was legal. Mr. Tan liked the idea because he felt that the articles taught a lot of interesting information. Mr. Tan won Teacher of the Year award. He was respected for caring about his students' financial situation.
Stage fright.
Stage fright is the nervousness one feels when speaking in front of an audience. It is extremely common. Mr. Todd tries to eliminate stage fright in his speech class. In the class, everyone is required to do 5 speeches in front of the class. The first speech is about the student. The students typically talk about their likes, dislikes, family, friends, hobbies, and future goals. Since it is the first speech, a lot of students are nervous. They want to make a good first impression on everyone. Mr. Todd told them to think of the audience as their friends. The second speech is supposed to persuade the audience to support a particular cause. One student talked about abortion. Another student talked about Donald Trump. For this speech, Mr. Todd advised them to make connections with the audience. People are more likely to support your cause if you make it relatable to them. For the third speech, the student is supposed to try to convince the audience to visit a particular country. By the third speech, the students were more confident. It was easier for them to talk in front of their classmates. The students felt like they were all friends with each other. Even if they made a mistake, it was okay.
Taking a break.
Martin and Kylie have been in a relationship for 4 years. They have already said, "I love you," met each other's parents, and talked about marriage. Their friends and family are just waiting for Martin to propose to Kylie. However, they don't know that Martin has been having second thoughts about his relationship with Kylie. Martin asked Kylie to go out to dinner with him. "So, this is going to be hard to hear," Martin said. "What happened? Did someone die?" Kylie asked. Kylie had no idea what was coming next. "I want to take a break from us," Martin said. "What do you mean?" Kylie asked. "I still love you. I just need some time to myself. I want to travel by myself," Martin said. "For how long?" Kylie asked. "Maybe a year," Martin said. "I'm not going to wait around, so we're over," Kylie said. Martin was sad at first, but as he was traveling across the world, he didn't feel too sad anymore. He first went up to Canada. He really liked the donuts there. He then went to Ireland. He really liked how green it was. He then went to Italy. He really liked the buildings and houses there. Next, he went to Vietnam. He really liked the people there. After 1 year, he came back to the United States. He asked how Kylie was doing. They went out again to catch up. They got back together. It was clear that they still loved each other.
Planning a surprise party.
Drake, Minnie, and Maribel have been best friends since they were 4 years old. They were inseparable. They had a lot of inside jokes, a secret meeting place, and friendship bracelets. They were very exclusive, too. They didn't want to include other people in their group. It would be too hard. Maribel went to a Thai restaurant with her family. She saw Drake and Minnie having dinner together. Why would they have dinner without her? It looked like they liked each other more than friends. Minnie was laughing and flipping her hair. Drake touched Minnie's hand. Maribel was upset. If they started dating, she would be out of the group. At school, Maribel confronted Drake and Minnie about it. "So, when were you going to tell me you two are dating?" Maribel said. Drake and Minnie nervously looked at each other. "We're not dating. We never would," Drake said. "I saw you two at the restaurant last night," Maribel said. "Well, we didn't want to tell you, but we were planning a surprise party for you." "That's why we didn't invite you to eat with us," Minnie said. Maribel felt bad that she ruined the surprise.
The one who stayed behind.
Darcy was in her 6th year of college. Most people go to college for 4 years and then graduate. Darcy was different. She did not plan well. In her first year, she was so excited to be away from her parents. She went out late every night. She drank too much alcohol. She made friends with the bad crowd. She skipped her classes. She had to retake a lot of classes. In her 2nd year, Darcy started to get her act together. She stopped going out so late. She became friends with people who studied. She went to class and studied. However, Darcy wanted to change her major from chemistry to political science. The chemistry classes she took were useless now. She had to take political science classes she should have taken in her 1st year. In her 3rd year, Darcy took more classes than the average student. It was very stressful. She was in class from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. She felt like she could not think in any of her classes. She was not getting much sleep. She talked to a guidance counselor who told her that she should drop 2 classes. The counselor also said that it was better to get good grades and stay longer in college than to get bad grades and graduate on time. Darcy dropped 2 classes and had to stay in college for 2 extra years.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Howard had recently made the soccer team. However, he has been having trouble with the captain and keeping up with his teammates. Howard wasn't in shape like the rest of the guys. He also couldn't do a lot of the things that the guys did. Howard knew that the only reason he made the team was because he made a goal during tryouts. The goal he made was lucky, though. The coach quickly realized this after the first week of practice. The coach set up a meeting to talk to Howard. "Do you know what this is about?" the coach asked. Howard nodded. Your performance has not been so good compared to the others. It also seems like you're having a lot of trouble, the coach said. Yeah, I didn't grow up playing soccer, Howard said. You're going to have a lot of trouble if you stay on the team. If you still want to play, I think you should take classes and try out again next year. Howard sighed. He knew the coach was right, but he was still sad. Howard cried. The coach put his arm around him. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Soccer is not your strength, but you are probably good at something else. My strength is playing soccer, but my weakness is playing instruments, the coach said. Howard felt a lot better after hearing him say that. Howard knew that he had strengths. He just had to find out what they were.